to another episode of Sit and Spin with me, your host, Joe Royland. Back after another little unintended break, but with good reason. If you didn't know, my mom passed away, so good enough reason to not have a show for a couple of weeks, if you ask me. But I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about one of my all-time favorite bands, a band that I have pretty much everything this band has ever released, and that would be The Cult and their new album, Hidden City. Yeah, when I say everything, I'm talking about things like The Cult, the complete singles box set back from the early 90s, like a whole series of EPs and singles, or the Rare Cult box set, 6 CD box set that came out last year, which kind of replaced the first one I showed you, but like stuff like this, that's how much of a fan I am. I love just about everything this band has ever done. And when I found out there was a new album coming out, of course, very excited and maybe a bit biased. 30 seconds into this album and I was sold. I didn't even have to hear the rest of it. I knew it was going to be a good ride, and it definitely is. The Cult, of course, formed in 1981, originally as Southern Death Cult, which was then shortened to just Death Cult and eventually just The Cult. English band that has been centered around the main creative team of singer-songwriter Ian Astbury and guitarist-songwriter Billy Duffy, and having numerous different rhythm sections over the years, with most currently being drummer John Tempesta and bassist Grant Fitzpatrick, and just a lot of other people have been in and out of the band over the years. Their greatest commercial success, of course, came from between 1985 and 1992 on the strength of such songs as She Sells Sanctuary, Love Removal Machine, and Firewoman. And they've broken up and reunited quite a few times over the years since then, with Ian Astbury going on and releasing solo records, as well as being in band projects like the Holy Barbarians and the Doors of the 20th Century. And guitarist Billy Duffy formed a band called Color Sound with Mike Peters of The Alarm, which was also quite good to have that as well. But pretty much since 2007, they've been an ongoing, serious band again. Hidden City is the band's 10th studio album, and was released back at the beginning of February. It's their second album on the Cooking Vinyl label. And Ian Astbury says that it's the final part of a trilogy that began with 2007's Born Into This and was continued in 2012's Choice of Weapon, which was their last record that they put out. And the album marks the 5th time that the band have worked with noted producer Bob Rock, who they first started working with back at Sonic Temple. But unlike the previous work they'd done with him, sound-wise, the production is a bit more stripped back and dry as opposed to the really glossed up and reverb-drenched stuff of like Sonic Temple and Ceremony. And actually, the first time I listened to this, I was surprised to see that it was Bob Rock who produced it, because it just didn't sound like his style at all. But kudos to you, Bob. The album actually holds more closer in sound to the last album, Choice of Weapon, which was co-produced along with Bob Rock by Chris Goss of Masters of Reality, let's say Queens of the Stone Age, although he's worked with those guys. But it's kind of closer to that style of sound of rock, if you know what I'm talking about. Thematically, though, the album songs deal with rebirth, redemption, and an examination of our inner spiritual life, all the kind of mystical stuff that Ian Astbury likes to pontificate on, and does so well over Billy Duffy's crunchy layered guitar riffs. To me, the album as a whole, much like Def Leppard's most recent release, kind of harkens back to many different sounds of the band's past, whether it was intentional or not on their part. Songs like the one you're hearing right now, the opening track, Dark Energy, with its tribal drums and kind of gothic southwestern feel to it, and Billy Duffy's guitar work, kind of echoes back to the Cult's debut album, Dreamtime. And songs like Dance the Night, with its echoey textured guitar tones, could have come off the album Love, as does Birds of Paradise. The overdriven bass and pulsing tones of Hinterland, which has already been released as a single, could have easily found a home on the band's 1994 album or some of the songs that they were doing around that time period. And the crunchy AC/DC style guitar chugging of GOAT, or GOAT, or the greatest of all time, which is what it's short for, the band's current single, just a monster too, would have fit nicely on Electric. And likewise, the song Heathens wouldn't have sounded at all out of place on Ceremony, or Avalanche Light could have fit on Sonic Temple, just minus the production tunes. But in between all that, there's lots of other great songs like Deeply Ordered Chaos, with its hypnotic, twisting rhythms offset with a string section, and the Desert Waltz of Lilies, or the moody piano-driven closing cut Sound of Fury that definitely sound fresh and new and don't sound anything like you probably heard on a Cult record before, and just prove that the Cults, even with the stuff that kind of echoes back to the past, still sounds modern fresh, are very much a vital force still to be reckoned with, and I'm glad they're still out there making records and out on tour now. I'm touring over in the UK currently. They're going to be coming over the States shortly. Love to get in a show to see them. Probably not going to happen though, just with my schedule being the way it is and the baby and all that. Would love to see them, but if they play near, I'll try to go. But all in all, another solid, great effort from the Cult, hitting the city. If you're a fan at all of this band, go out. You won't be disappointed at all, I don't think. Just great stuff from the Cult. You gotta love it. So pick it up now. That's the show. Not gonna jinx myself this time saying how soon I'll be back, but I am sitting on a backlog of a lot of great records I want to release, so hopefully I can stay on track and get things going again. But thanks a lot for sticking with me. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time on Sit and Spin. See you then. Almost forgot. Wanted to share a little story with you about the first time I met the Cult, because I've told this story to some other people before, and they said, oh, you should share that story, so here you go. It was back on the Sonic Temple tour, and the only thing that was bummed out about that night was I didn't get the chance to meet Bill Duffy, because he was feeling pretty under the weather. He'd had the flu or something, and Trooper, though, went on and performed a great show, but what most people couldn't see, unless you were standing off to the side of the stage like I was, is that between every 2 or 3 songs, he was going back behind the speaker cabinets where you couldn't see him and puking in a bucket. But he went out and played a great show, but as such, he wasn't up to going back and doing a meet and greet after the show. But I did get to meet the rest of the guys at that time. Jamie Stewart, who had been the bass player on the band's previous 2 records, was playing rhythm guitar on that tour, because they had Kid Chaos from Zodiac Mind Warp and Love Reaction was playing bass on that tour instead. Jamie Stewart's a great guy. Ian Astbury is Trip. He is one of the most present guys that I've ever met. Like, he has an aura just coming off him in waves. And I don't know if he was zonked out on drugs or whatnot that night, but he just seemed very serious. And like I said, like just so electric vibe just emanating off him. And when you talk to him, he was dead locked on your eyes. And it wasn't just that he was looking at you and focused on you, but he was looking through you into your soul and the universe beyond. It was like some 1,000-year-old Native American god. And I know that, as crazy as that sounds, it's absolutely the truth. And at the time, I knew it wasn't just me either, because like the group of people who were standing around me were all like, whoa, did you feel that too? Because they all experienced very much the same thing. Don't know if he's still the same way, but would love to find out again someday, and hopefully I will get a chance to check out the band on tour again this year. But just wanted to share that one other little story with you, a little extra bonus for you. And we'll see you next time. Take it easy.